Hey guys, how you doing? Chris Rod, Sun City Lawn Care. Today, you're probably wondering what the heck are you doing drilling into your wall, right? This is a lawn care channel. Well, guys, I also do a little bit of gardening, okay? So if you follow my channel whatsoever, you know that we do have a couple videos about our food forests, the transformation I've made over there. Today, what I'm doing is I'm installing a wiring system or trellising system for an Espalier pomegranate tree. If you guys have any idea what that is, or if you don't know what it is, or you want to learn how to install one in your own property, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and follow along. Okay, and one of the first steps is you need to pre-drill your holes on where you want your eye hooks to be. Okay, your eye hooks are going to be coming out of in my case a rock wall. We're drilling into rock, or if you've got brick, you know, typically your Espalier system is going to be leaning up against something. You can build your own trellising system, I guess your holding platforms, if you will, where your eye hooks are going to be installed. You can build some 2x4s, you know, coming off the rock wall if you want some extra support, and then secure your 2x4s against your rock wall or your house, your brick, whatever it may be. In this particular case, what I'm doing today is we went ahead and pre-drilled 12 different holes spaced out 16 inches in height, or 16 inches apart in height. Okay, so every 16 inches we're going to be putting one of these eye hooks. Okay, and the what I'm doing now, well, let me get back to the eye hooks before we talk about what I'm doing right now. So when you're drilling your holes, I want to make this this is a tip. These are all tips on how to the installation process, but you need to get yourself a hammer drill. Okay, you cannot use your standard bit drill. Okay, you'll be just leaning against the wall like I was initially and just grinding away with a diamond cut drill bit that's not going to do any good, or a masonry concrete drill bit. Okay, you can't use a standard drill bit. You got to use a masonry or concrete drill bit for that, especially if you're digging into or drilling into rock wall, concrete, or brick for that matter. So let's start off with the right tools. Make sure you get a hammer drill. Don't go buy one if you don't have one, guys. You can get to your big box store, in our case Home Depot, and just rent them for $27 for 4 hours. It literally took me 10 minutes, 15 minutes to go ahead and drill all 12 holes. Okay, and that's it. So I don't foresee myself using a hammer drill in the future, but if I ever did, long term routine maintenance, I would buy one. But in this case, I just rented one. So just rent one. You need the hammer drill. Make sure that the bit you're using matches the eye hooks that you're going to be utilizing. In this case, I've utilized some 3/8 inch, 6 inch long eye hooks that we're going to be putting in the wall. The reason why I chose these is because the actual screw, the thread, is about 4 inches long, and that's going to go inside of the wall. The other 2 inches is what I want protruding out of the wall, because when you're designing your Espalier system or your Espalier trellising system, you don't want your wires to be against or flush against the rock wall, the brick, the wood. That's why the wood coming off of whatever back surface you're going to do is a good idea, because it's going to give you a couple extra inches of room. In this case, I'm just using longer eye hooks. Okay, so the 4 inches is going to be embedded into the rock wall. Then I'm going to have about 2 inches coming out. 2 to 4 inches is where you want those eye hooks or your trellising system to come off of the actual platform, or what you're leaning your Espalier system again. So we went ahead and pre-drilled the holes. What I'm doing now is I'm installing these eye hooks. Okay, and it's really simple. You're just inserting. Okay, they're going to be loose. You can come in and out of them. You're not screwing this in tight to a rock wall, or to like plaster inside the house, or your drywall. It's nothing like that. It's not a screw bit. Okay, so you use the same size drill bit, and then you backfill. In this particular case, what I have is I have a Pro Series high grade, professional grade anchor sealant. It's an anchor adhesive that I'm using. This was I think like 15 bucks at Home Depot low, this one canister. I'm not gonna use it all, but You tap into it, you use your caulking gun, and then what we're doing is we're gonna go ahead and slide this into the hole, and we're gonna backfill with some of this adhesive. Again, this is anchoring adhesive. The time that is allotted for it to dry dictates on your ambient air temperature. So today was 72 degrees. So if I go by the little chart on here, it lets me know that for temperatures that are 72 degrees, I need to let it cure or seal or harden, however you want to phrase it, for 85 minutes, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and give it a day, and then I may give it a day. I may just wait the hour and a half, hour or 85 minutes, whatever it is. We're gonna come back out here if I got enough sunlight, and we're gonna go ahead and finalize the installation. If not, we're gonna continue this video tomorrow. But let's just dive into this real quick. Very simple process of backfilling and inserting the eye hooks, guys.
Let's try that again.
Alright guys, I want to final up this video. It's kind of been a work in progress over the past few days, and again, this is not a lawn care video. YouTube, this is a gardening type video. To finish up, I just finished installing the Espalier system mechanism, holding mechanism if you will, for our wonderful pomegranate tree. It's actually the wonderful type of pomegranate. So I chose to go with the cordon style of an Espalier system here against this rock wall, and it's been an interesting project for sure. So just to give you guys a couple rundown numbers here on what we're looking for when we're installing an Espalier. As far as the fruit tree that you're going to select, definitely do your homework on whether it's a dwarf size, it can get into full size. You definitely want to know what kind of tree it is. Espalier trees can range from pomegranates to apples to figs, you name it. I've even heard of cherry trees being utilized in an Espalier manner, but that's going to take some care. Either way, pick a fruit tree, pick your location, and that's really step one, is getting it into the ground. Over the course of this video, what you've seen me do is install, again, the mechanism that we're going to be utilizing to support the branches, okay? So we had already gotten the pomegranate tree. I was very selective about it. I wanted to make sure I got good branches that were growing, and this was one at the local nursery that actually had the most leaf tissue on it. So that was kind of a sell for me, was the fact that it had more leaf tissue compared to some of the other options that were out there. Moreover, it's recommended that you get the tallest one that you can, the one that's got the longest central leader, depending on whichever tree type you're going for. And that's fine. I wanted one that wasn't the tallest, but had more leaf tissue, and it was something that I could prune at a lower stage in height, okay? Because we're gonna be basically trellising this up this rock wall here behind me. And what I did is I went ahead and prepped the area. This mulch I have had on this particular area of the yard for about a year now, and it's just been decomposing, okay? So we're adding those nutrients as the decomposition process happens, so we're getting some good soil here. The reason why I selected this area, and I know a lot of you guys are probably immediately already thinking, Chris, this is a horrible spot to put this. You all know you should put your espalier trees or fruit trees, period, in an area where you're gonna receive a lot of sunlight. And that's great, okay? This particular portion of my yard, south is that way, okay? This is the south side of my property, the backyard. This rock wall scales about 12 feet high, and it gets a lot of shade, okay? This whole area of my property gets a lot of shade in the beginning portion of the season. Once we start getting into later spring and summer, all the way until September, October, it is full sun. Directly behind me is east, and as that sun comes up, this whole area gets sun. So granted, this isn't a south-facing wall where it's gonna get a lot of sunlight. As soon as that eastern sun comes up, this pomegranate tree is gonna get a lot of sunlight. I am not worried about that, okay? Be selective on your location, okay? Keep that in mind when you guys are doing your tree installation, all right? Typically you want it on the south facing face of your property, okay? Now, next thing you wanna do is you wanna come off, whether you're doing against the house, a fence post, or rock wall like I've got here, you're gonna come off the wall about a foot, okay? If you're concerned about the root system damaging or any kind of structure damage, you can come off 2 feet, okay? The idea if you come off further is you're gonna end up leaning that tree more towards the wall or where you're gonna be securing it along with the trellising system, okay? So I know you can't see it right now, but this particular pomegranate tree, it was buried sufficiently based on the gallon size. We went 2 feet wide on each side, backfilled with, I didn't use any compost to backfill it with because what the growing medium was already compost. And they used a lot of pecan as a mulch inside of their containers. So we just use native dirt here, okay, the native soil. I did not fertilize. Normally when you plant 1-2-year-old trees, wherever you're translocating them, you're not gonna apply fertilizer immediately, okay? You want those roots to establish. So we came about 12 inches, this is almost about 15 inches off the wall because this pomegranate tree can get pretty thick. So I wanted to make sure I got it right in the center here between the rock wall and my pool deck. So next, I did angle it, and the trellising system that I use here, the cordon trellising system, was kind of interesting as an installation goes. Each one of these wires is about 2 to 3 inches coming off the rock wall. That's what you want. You want a minimum of 2. The rule of thumb is 2 to 4 inches off the rock wall, so that when you begin trellising your scaffolding branches across whatever trellising system you're going to use, it's not grinding or rubbing against the material, in this case, rock wall. So as far as the height of each one of these wires, I don't know if you can see them on the video, but you saw me install them. They're spaced apart every 16 inches, okay? You can go as far as 2 feet. Minimum should be about 16 inches. That's the rule of thumb, 16 inches to 24 inches as far as spacing. It would also depend on which tree you're growing, okay? Do you got smaller fruit like pears and figs, or do you got some bigger hardy fruits like apples and pomegranates, okay? Cherries, you could probably space those a little closer. So just keep in mind on that, but that's all I wanted to show you guys was this installation process for a cordon espalier. If I said pronounce espalier, or however some of y'all say it out there, my grandmother would smack the crap out of me. My whole family is French. So in my opinion, and the way that we pronounce it, for a fact of the matter is it's espalier. It is a French term, okay? They've been doing this stuff since the early 1600s. and it's originated from France, also originated, some have thought to be originated in Italy as well, but either way, I have always wanted to make use of this blank canvas I have of a rock wall behind me here. When I'm sitting on my porch over there, or we're in the pool, this huge rock wall, it's just a blank canvas. So now, if you can imagine, in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we're gonna have a pomegranate tree growing up. It's gonna go 8 feet this way and come back 8 feet this way, and it's gonna cover this eyesore of a rock wall. So I always want to leave you guys a little bit of some advice, some tips, besides just doing the actual video, but some tips, okay? I think the main tip that I have for you guys when you guys are doing some sort of trellising system for an espalier is the first one is make sure whatever you guys are utilizing to secure your eye bolts, whether it be to a rock wall or a piece of concrete or brick, make sure you use a hammer drill, okay guys? In my case, you know, I initially thought I could just bypass not using a hammer drill, and I used a regular drill. I had the right bit, but the hammer drill, oh my God, it took the work down from hours to literally 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and the tool that I had rented from Home Depot was already back to the rental shop. That would be tip number one. Definitely use a hammer drill when you guys are inserting your eye bolts to whatever frame or system you're using to support your trellising system. The other tip, and I think this was a big one, was once you map out where your actual fruit tree is going to be and you get your wire, 14 gauge wire is what I use, by the way. Instead of dealing, and I don't know if you noticed throughout the video, I was having some trouble with that ravel of a wheel, the ravel of the wire, I'm sorry. Pre-cut your wire. I think that would be definitely a huge tip. Pre-cut your wire. I know that I went 8 feet left of the tree and 8 feet right to the tree. And so pre-cutting the wire will help you avoid that freaking crazy fiasco of a wire situation that I was dealing with throughout the video. And then, you know, that's tip number two. The third tip that I would give you guys is a lot of these pieces that I bought from Home Depot or Lowe's, I actually got it from Home Depot. The eye hooks, these wire pieces here, the tightening bolts, and then on this side, I actually have the turnbuckles here. A lot of these little individual pieces you can get in a kit from Amazon, okay? That is definitely an option A if you don't have the time to do the shopping yourself. I would recommend that. The other option, which is what I did, is I bought these individually. So I forecast and I planned, I mapped it out. I got my tree, the distance from the tree. I knew 16 inches how high I wanted to go, but I knew exactly how many of each piece I wanted to get from the big box store. Each one of these came with a freaking price tag on them. So when preparing to do your Espalier installation, prepare everything in advance. Get all the tape off of each metal piece, cut your wire, make sure you got the hammer drill. Those are the 3 tips. These are kind of bonus tips I want to give you because I didn't discuss this throughout the video, but you guys stay tuned. Again, if you have any questions, leave them down below and watch this blank canvas of a rock crappy wall turn into my future wonderful pomegranate espalier.